All right, I am dealing with a technical issue. OBS is misbehaving. Can we? Let's see. All right, I'm gonna do it like this. To be fair, at least half of the particular issue I'm dealing with was my own fault. I clicked too fast and allowed it to update. Not that. Would you? Oh, you're such garbage sometimes. All right, let's try this again. Oh, jeez. There you go. Could you just do the thing I'm trying to get you to do? Thank you. Absolute madness. Okay. We need to make sure that the video feed is actually going. Oh god. Don't you lag on me. Yeah, there you go. Alright. Let's see. I gotta post that I'm going live. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. That's a good message. I'm gonna send that. And need should work there. And now I just gotta make my Discord rounds here. Make sure that everybody gets their appropriate pings. Okay. Yeah, boop. And boop. That one doesn't have the spot for it. Here's this one. Boop. Boop. Oh. Hello, Amber. I don't even have to look at the chat to know who did that. Thank you for the fart redeem. It's like your call sign. I know, I'm aware. I'm talking because I'm doing something. I can switch to the face cam. I was busy breaking things is basically the shorthand. I started up the stream, and that instance of OBS was fine, but the OBS on the main PC that handles all my actual footage wanted to update, and I know better than to do that with what I have on it. But I accidentally clicked update, and then I tried to cancel it, and then it was like a whole thing, and then I had to get it recovered. And I've done that, and now I'm just going through and posting my live notifications, and then I will be good to go. Because unfortunately, the only one that's really automated is my Discord. I guess I could automate socials, but I kind of feel like that the social posts have to be a little more than just like, hey, I'm live with this. So I always have to come up with something for those. To make them a little more eye-catching. Okay. All right. I think we're good. We are going to switch her over. Oh, well, that'll be, I'm sure, let's see. Is it actually trying to do? The stream PC is trying to update Windows in the background, which means it's gonna probably lag. Oh no. Okay, good. It's just telling me it has an update. Don't you dare do that on your own. Okay. I think we'll be fine then. All right, so yeah, okay. Yeah, I think we're fine. It's not going completely crazy, so we'll see. Let's change up the music. get away from the crazy loud stuff. Alright, so yeah, as my live announcements said on socials, and as I've talked about in the Discord, I had successfully upgraded the project to Unreal 5. Went all the way from 4.27, which was the last, well, 4.27.2, which was the last version of Unreal 4, all the way to 5.6 in a single upgrade. Because doing it stage by stage would have literally taken forever. It would have been the safe way to do it, but as a solo developer, that's not really viable. Especially not given the amount of errors I had to fix. They were uncountable. But it only took me 5 or 6 whole fucking days to do that. So we're back in the engine. Most stuff works in like massive air quotes. I had to fix some stuff and to even get it to play, and I've at least got to that point. It does play again. The camera is a little like way far back. I don't know why it has suddenly zoomed out. Also, is this why? Yeah, so something's going weird with that, where I think it's trying to use the camera view from when you're sprinting, which was still too far back anyway. So there's a bug there, but that's not like a functional thing necessarily. The main issue that I'm trying to figure out the solution to is that you can't. So before I had a bug where you couldn't, or where you would duplicate the item when you tried to drag it. Now we have a bug after the upgrade where you can't drag it at all. And the weird thing is actually, it seems like it might, I've got this fun little tool here. It seems like it might actually be, it's in here. Oop, no, in here. It seems like it might actually be dragging it or trying to, because I don't know exactly where in here it's going to have the actual object, to be honest. I wish this would actually let me highlight the item I'm looking at rather than just kind of showing me what's rendered. But I can tell when I do the debug on the widget UI that based on what I can select for the item widget, I can tell that it's creating one every time I do this. So it is like, because it's supposed to create a temporary one when you do a drag so that it can like pick it up and move it around. So it is kind of doing something. But it's also not presenting any errors, which is more of a problem. I much prefer it when I have error messages that I can go off of. I'm kind of watching these engine outputs to see if I see anything. But most of the other features work. You can equip. It's not going to the right slot right now, but that's fine. You can equip and unequip. You can assign to shortcuts. So that part all functions. The examine doesn't function. But to be fair, prior to the upgrade, it didn't function anyway. So that's not really a change. Not really concerned about that one. Game instance shortcut. Oh, now this actually might tell me what's happening. Shortcuts with back. Switch statement failed to match case for index properly. Temp int variable. Shortcuts C. So one of the weird things that I found, and I'm not sure why, is in some of my blueprints, there are things missing after the upgrade, seemingly. Like nodes. There were nodes I had to correct because one of the things that changed seems to be something with float variables, where if you directly import something from UE4, its float variable comes up kind of grayed out and doesn't technically function, and then you have to change it to a new float variable. So I don't know what that's about, but I haven't found any more of those, and those were at least generating errors. The problem is some of the things I've found that are missing are causing breaks in the blueprint to where it doesn't execute, but it doesn't cause a problem, so it doesn't error out. So that in itself is more of an issue. But let's look at this guy, since we have... we're also about to have an ad break. I can't really do anything about that. About 1 minute and 30 seconds from an ad break. I will pause, though, during that. Let's see. So shortcuts. That should just be this guy is the problem, then. Or a problem. So what is shortcuts problem? Let me bring him over here. All right. It's looking for statements failed to match case for index property, temp int variable, shortcut C transient add game instance, function game widgets, UMG shortcuts get shortcut by index. Get shortcut by index. Oh. These, I think, had to be assigned. I'm not sure in what way, though, off the top of my head. We'll look at that when we come back from the ad break. One of the things I am doing is I've got like I've got a previous version of the project up on another screen, and I'm kind of like one-to-oneing things. But the big problem is because I don't have error messages most of the time for these issues, I'm almost having to kind of guess where they could be and then like go blueprint by blueprint. This is one issue with blueprints that I will say is less than ideal, is you can search pretty easily within a blueprint for where something's being used. And you can search pretty easily for a function like within the context of the same blueprint. But searching across blueprints seems to be more difficult or not possible. I've never known of a way to do it. You can find which blueprints relate to one another. They have a reference viewer for that, but it doesn't, unless they've changed it for UE5, it doesn't show specific functions. Like it doesn't tell you which function is being, or which element of that is being referenced. Whereas I feel that with C++ at least, you could get a little more insight into that. But I don't like the compile times. So I'd prefer to prototype like this. Got about 40 seconds left on the ad break. What is lagging my mouse? What is... Oh, God. Okay, there we go. All right. We should be back from the ad break. My mouse was freaking out. Okay, I was going to say, is the automation thingy going to go away? All right. So, I'm going to look at this older version of the project and see if I can figure out where that has gone wrong. We're in shortcuts, which is here. Here. Default value. Okay. All right, that all looks fine. Let me find references. Okay, that's our get shortcut. That's our get all shortcut. And hang on. Oh, yeah. It was doing weird things and not opening the thing I was clicking on. So that's correct. And that looks correct. Get shortcut by index. Oh, hang on. It didn't open it. I was like, why is that different? But it's because it didn't open the right one. All right. So that doesn't make a ton of sense. Because that appears to have not changed in any way. Temp int variable. Statement failed to match case for index property temp int variable shortcuts. That means it came temp int variable W shortcuts, transient engine, game instance, shortcuts with background. This guy then. So it was on this screen. Oh, you know what it might be? I was unable to get when I was looking at the shortcut screen, earlier, I was unable to get it to select the bottom shortcut. So that could have been what was triggering that message. But this is all that's in here, even in the old project. Let's see. The function it was looking at in here was get shortcut by index. So let me see, is that in here at all? Where all is this called? Okay. This seems fine. Oh, wait a minute. No, never mind. That's fine. That's where it gets defined. That's fine. We've already looked at that. Guess it could be in one of these. Why does my mouse feel like it's not going over as far as it should? My mouse feels like it's not being responsive. That's weird. Okay, well, that's all fine and dandy, but it doesn't seem to be necessary. Now, I'm not seeing a problem Okay. Well, to be fair, this was a warning. So... I'm just looking to see if I see... Not worried about any of that, I don't think. Interesting. I mean, it would seem like the issue has to either be in the slots blueprints or in like the back end. I've gone over these several times and not yet found the problem. Oh, well, do that. Default those. The rest of this looks to be defaulted just fine. I don't know that any of that was going to matter, but at this point, if I'm finding anything different, then I may as well investigate it. Okay. Did we lose anything in here? Slot as canvas slot, face image, no. Slot offset, no. Materials, brush from material, that's fine. Real selected slot. This seems to be fine. Mouse button, yeah. Which, you know, these I need to kind of do something with anyway, for the sake of rebinding, but they should still work. And there's nothing changed about this. Yeah, that looks fine. Yeah. Let's see. That all looks fine. Okay. So, really, there's nothing in the slot itself that appears to be broken. So then the slot goes into the grid panel. I don't recall putting much in the grid panel in terms of like stuff that would be needed to be worried about. Okay. Event pre-construct. With, I mean, that doesn't matter, but that's just so I can read it side by side here. -1. Clear children, for loop. Starts at 0, loops through based on the size of that. Slots type is good. Index of that. Create slot widget. Yeah. These guys look good. That looks good. Temp slot animation looks fine. Okay, that looks fine. Invisible. Under opacity, transform angle. Show hide slots. That all looks fine. So, seemingly, there's nothing out of place in this guy. And then the grid panel gets pulled into where is it? Just into the main inventory, which I think is under UI, not base. So yeah, nothing looks out of place there. Okay. Guess we'll just look at that part. This would be 6 by 10's fine. I don't see anything crazy there. Guess we'll start with the main event graph and see if we can track it down from there. I know it looks like these are missing, but that's because I had them as part of something else. Which, I mean, really, I could just get rid of that. Visibility changed. Let's see. These are all about updating the case, so that's not really relevant here. If anything, it would be part of the registry equipment slots. I guess it could be in here somewhere. Hello? There we go. Mouse. Because actually, this was, I think, one of the sections where there were some things broken when I came back in to the project. Why is this in here like this? It should be more just like this. Okay, so left up, right, left down, Okay, that all looks fine. I need a cough drop. So I guess it could be inside one of these functions. Pretty sure I looked at these already, but I will look again. Cursor Delta. I mean, this looks fine. There's also an assload of them, so it's hard to say. Analog value changed. Oh, what the devil? Let's see. Gamepad accesses, which I mean, we're not even dealing with a gamepad in this case, so. Change input mode. That's the attaché case stuff, which is fine. Shouldn't be part of the issue. Good on that. Yeah, this one looks fine. Also looks fine. That looks fine. Let's see. These these calculations all seem at least consistent, if not correct. Four ways. Huh. All right, let's check out the inventory inputs here. Oh, I forgot. That's because I was mapping controller stuff, which is fine. That actually shouldn't have anything to do with the problem. In fact, given that it seems like for the most part other stuff works, I would say that there's probably not something broken in that particular part of it. This is the one I'm kind of curious about. I'll have to drag this over to my other screen to do this. Let's see. Let's figure out, based on the widget simulation here. Boop. Okay. Make sure that we're debugging. Let's figure out if okay, it doesn't trigger the drag input when I do this, which see, my first thought would be a hit detection thing, that this is getting treated as like a layer that's blocking hit detection, but that wouldn't actually make sense if you think about it, because it's still allowing me to select and highlight the empty slots. I gotta sneeze. So that would imply that that I'm making contact with it, as it were. Yeah, and it's set to not hit testable self only, which means that it shouldn't be affecting children. Um, ba, 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 ba. Okay. So that doesn't do it. So the fact that it doesn't get to the point of interacting and triggering a drag is what has me a little confused. We're about to have another ad break, by the way. About 30 seconds or so. All right, ad should be starting any minute now. And then we will take a break during that. Interesting. All right, we are in the ad break. This one is clearly not finished, but this one has nothing to do with what we're trying to do. So and I don't think that the error is in C++ because one, the project builds without going crazy, but two, if the build changed anything, Yeah, because like it would. I will admit, I am confused. I am very confused. All that's left there are the components. It doesn't have any interfaces on it. So, where is it going wrong then? I'm confused. I am very confused. Okay. I don't. It's got to be the item. Huh. Okay, this should have been set to that. Not sure I believe that that makes a difference, but I will give it a shot. Let's see. Okay. Guess we'll review all the stuff in the item one. Yeah, that looks fine. Image is fine. Reconstruct looks fine. This all looks fine. Okay. Chosen selected. Oh, well, not selected, she got a false, which is true. But that's just a material, so that's not really going to do much in that case. Oh, hold on. All right. It had not opened the next thing. Okay, that's fine. Set amount. Right? Let's see. Oop. Um, we don't have tags as a node on here, so that's fine. Set rotation is literally just that, so that's fine. Texture. I could fix this guy, I guess. I don't think it really matters for something like that, but because it'd still be the correct enum instance, but it was one of the things that it was complaining about when I opened it the last time. Set combine. Select for menu. Ammo image. Show can destroy. Okay, that all looks fine. On input switch. Color type. Hmm. So I've gone over all of the elements I think that should be relevant, but I don't see an obvious problem. It could be buried in this guy. It's where I've found most of the issues so far, but that would be really, really awful. This is really strange. And I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I knew there were going to be some weird issues moving. Not only moving engine versions the way I did, but moving so many engine versions in one go was always going to be a problem. Always likely to be a problem. Nothing's jumping out at me as being immediately the problem. But inevitably, now, could you grab the stupid thing? There you go. But we can't drag it. It's something's definitely reacting because it may not show up on stream, but when I try to drag, and specifically when I try to drag, not just when I click, the temporary slots on the side there shift left and right with each drag. So something is happening when I do that. But it's not triggering what we would want. That can all still be done, so that's a thing. Oh. Wait. No, that's not right. Hold the phone. Oh, no, that's what it was supposed to do before. It just wasn't doing it. I fixed where it wasn't taking it out of the inventory. So that is correct, actually. I'm wrong. Although it didn't do it right away the first time. Maybe because I had it selected. So can't drag. Which is still strange. And still can't inspect. So, and in fact, that kind of freezes everything. So, no capture. I wonder if this has anything to do with it. Capture permanently. For the life of me, cannot think of where the specific problem would be. Those all appear to be right. I mean, I guess we can run down the gambit here and just see when we hit a problem. But I'm pretty sure I've already looked over most of this and it checked out for the most part. Yeah, that looks fine. Assigned to an item removed. Let's see. Okay, between those. And we want to check this guy. Hey, Save. Thanks for the resub.
Saved at always
10
just
months.
resubbed for 10 months.
That is insane. That means I've nearly been affiliate for a year at this point. I think at that point. Going crazy is what we're doing. I'm slowly going insane. Because I spent better part of an entire week, about 5 or 6 whole days, upgrading the entire game project from Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5. There's some technical reasons that I did that. I wasn't really ever intending to use 5 for the project because I didn't need a lot of the new features. And you do have to like work to optimize those and that kind of thing. But there are some technical limitations that are going to be a problem, especially if I want to support some platforms regarding like the SDKs, the software development kits and stuff. Mac in particular is going to be problematic because Unreal, each version of Unreal only supports so many different SDK versions for each OS. With Windows, it's already getting to where anytime Visual Studio updates, it tends to put like whatever the latest SDK is in, and then build tools are in, and then Unreal 4 gets unhappy and yells at me and won't compile. Now that could be fixed by removing those tools. But the same problem will happen if I try to use this on my MacBook. Now I haven't really been pushing for Mac yet because there's some plugins and features I'm using that may not be possible on a Mac. So a Mac build may not be possible, but I would like to do it. There's not a lot of games on Mac. It's kind of not a big market, but it's not a heavily tapped market. But one of the issues I was running into with building 4.27 on my Mac is that I think it was technically still possible. I didn't get into it yet because of, again, some of the other things I had going on. But it requires a specific version of Xcode and of the macOS dev kit. And Apple does the same thing where they update that stuff and remove the old stuff, but they eventually make it where you just can't have the old stuff installed or can't install it on the newer OS versions. So you eventually just end up SOL on building it. So like my line of thinking became, well, by the time I finish this game, it would be very likely, as rapidly as Apple changes things, that I would not be able to build, if I want to, for a Mac. So, and then, similar situation with Windows, the SDKs are becoming older and older. So, move to 5. In fact, move to 5.6, which until 5.7 came out like a few days ago, like last week or whatever, 5.6 was the newest. So I was going to not only jump from 4 to 5, I was going to jump like 6 or 7 engine versions all in one. Generally, it's kind of, I don't know, as to whether or not you should do that, like jump that many versions on a project. Generally, no, the safe way is to do it kind of one at a time, but that's a very slow way to do it and probably better suited for teams of people that can kind of do it efficiently. So I needed to jump that many versions. Also, getting all those versions installed was going to be a nightmare. So I just needed to jump straight over. It created hundreds of errors that I had to fix, which in itself was difficult because while the documentation to 4.27 exists still, Epic got rid of all the documentation that predates that for all the previous versions of Unreal 4. And it just so happens that some of the plugins that I liked to use, that I had gotten involved in this project, in many cases never got updated to 4.27, and I had just been able to like kind of keep using them because they didn't specifically get deprecated at any point with any features. I'd been kind of just able to force build them. And now features were deprecated. Well, when you build stuff in Visual Studio, usually what you get is a warning like, hey, we're changing, this feature's been deprecated. You need to make this, you need to change to do this before the next release or your stuff won't compile. Well, you only get those warnings until the thing goes away. So me jumping all these versions, man, I had to go really, really digging to get the information I needed on what had changed for certain things. Some things I had to just ultimately get rid of because a lot of the rendering pipeline and animation pipelines changed between 4 and 5. So there were some things that became native features. There were some things that just don't work, aren't possible anymore. Ultimately got the project open. Had to fix some initial blueprint bugs. And technically speaking, the majority of the project works as it did prior to the upgrade. I mean, there's not much to it, but it does what it's supposed to do. The camera, it is seemingly trying to use the sprint by default. So there is that. That's a bug though. That's not like an outright problem. Inventory is doing its thing, except for, and this is the thing I'm trying to solve right now that I'm going insane, is just about everything that I had working about the inventory works. I can like add the item to a shortcut, or hotkey. I can equip. I can unequip. All right, that's problematic, but that's fine. It goes away when you do this. I can't examine. That's broken, but that was broken beforehand. But I cannot drag. You cannot move the items. They don't go anywhere. So unless, hang on. Let me turn on a controller and see if somehow. Wait, hold on. Okay, I was able to close my inventory. Oh, but you know what? That closes the inventory. That pauses. Alright. Hang on a second. Okay, I don't seem to... I can select, kind of. Gamepad input is... Okay. Oh dear. Well, that's... I broke it. Okay, gamepad input is still a little wonky. That's one of the other things they changed pretty drastically was the input system. So there is a part of me that is unsure if the issues I'm experiencing have to do with the changes to the input system or something else. Because the problem was, even after I fixed all the errors and got it running, I then discovered that we're in ads. I then discovered that despite that, it turned out there were like some nodes in my blueprints, some functions and stuff that were gone for whatever reason, or some variables that didn't work correctly. There were some things where things couldn't get assigned a certain way anymore. But in a lot of cases where some of those were gone, they didn't cause errors. They didn't work, but they didn't cause error messages. So I'm having to like effectively, I have an older version of the project open on my other monitor, and I'm basically having to like go bit by bit and compare things and see if I can figure out what's missing from where. So why is my mouse freaking out? Yeah, so going slowly insane. Possibly rapidly insane. Ad break is over. Welcome back from the ads, those of you that had them. The slow descent of madness makes for good content. Speaking of content, I just on Saturday, recorded the voiceover for what will be the first devlog. So I'm going to start posting devlogs to YouTube. I don't know exactly what the frequency will be. Maybe monthly, every couple months. I guess it kind of depends on how much stuff I have to talk about. One of the things I'm planning to do, though, is the devlogs will actually lag behind, ideally, development, at least for a while. They might eventually catch up. So this first one's going to basically be talking about, like, the pre-production process that happened, like, in the early stages of the game. And so I'm going to be kind of taking it, and I even mentioned in the devlog, hey, this is, if you want things current, I do this, on stream regularly. But I'm going to do those, and then my current plan is to only put one out when I have another one already done, if that makes sense. So if I'm publishing a devlog, that means there's already another devlog ahead of it, like waiting in the wings to come out, and it will publish when the next one's done, and so on and so forth. I've got someone I'm sort of talking to about doing editing for them to kind of help me so I can focus on this. The main issue with that is I haven't decided if it's worth it financially to do that, since they're not gonna make money anytime soon, because YouTube's not monetized. I don't have the viewership or the subscribers for it by any stretch of the imagination. So paying someone to edit is my time, I guess, worth that, because it frees me up to do the development, is more to the point. But possibly have someone help me with that, to where I can free up time to focus on this stuff. So I would just record it and provide like some of the B-roll, and then they could edit it. But then that's also like, it's a little different than editing like a gaming video, because I kind of feel like the person who edits that probably needs to understand what they're editing. So that's the other reason I'm not sure about having an editor for that. But looking at doing some of that, and then I will probably what I'll probably do is those devlog videos will go up on my Patreon that I created, and they'll go up and be there for like a month ahead, and then they'll go, like the following month they'll go on YouTube, to try to maybe encourage some stuff there to kind of help pay for the development stuff, because like concept art isn't free. And the music and the voice acting isn't going to be free. I say that Starby was determined that the music was going to be free, and I've insisted that Starby's going to get paid. But speaking of that, I know for a fact you won't have heard this save, because you were not in the stream the last time I did it, or at least you didn't say anything. I have the first draft I received of the theme music to this game that Starby made. I'm going to turn the music up a bit here, and I can play that on the stream. So this would be the menu theme for the game. It's very atmospheric. Yes. The part of the brief I gave Starby was that I wanted it to not necessarily use traditional instruments for one thing. I wanted her to find a way to, like, industrial is probably not the right word, but I wanted it to not be organic. And there's reasons for that are actually plot related. But so she tried to make something very, like, sterile and excuse me, industrial. And I was concerned I didn't, like, give her enough to go on, but she said she got way more information than she usually gets on these types of things in the past. Like, she's used to, like, the film directors that she would do stuff with, like, giving her, like, a feeling, and that was all to go off of. Whereas I gave her, like, a bunch of different stuff. I also pointed her to some examples. There's an indie game, an indie horror game. It's like a little 2D side scroller game that was part of the original inspiration for this game, called Uncanny Valley, and its soundtrack. So this was a track that I pointed her at when I said what I wanted. You have to let it kind of get into it. But the soundtrack to this game, is pretty much one of the, like, audio mood boards towards my game. I don't like all of the tracks in it, but there are several specific tracks in it that I love. Okay, we'll stop with that. Oh god, it's so loud. I am so sorry, chat. I didn't know what song it was going to play. Let's get to something less noisy. There we go. I'm gonna show this. So it's funny because I have, like, a little playlist. For a mood board, and it does basically feature the soundtracks of, like, Resident Evil and several other horror games in them. I didn't necessarily want all of these tracks in here, but it was one of those things that was much easier to just add the whole album. But yeah, it didn't even occur to me when I hit play that it was going to potentially play a loud song, and I had not put the volume back to the way it usually is. So, But yeah, so we've got music in the works for the game. Starby's very excited about that. I think Starby's working on mastering it. To like make a final version of it. We might still address it further before, well before release. We still got a long ways for release because we don't even have a demo yet. But yeah, no, I've been working pretty closely with Starby and then with my concept artist to get sort of the feeling of everything going. I have other news, but I can't. Well, I'm probably not supposed to talk about it yet. And that's weird to say because, the initial thought is probably, well, it's your game. Can't you talk about whatever you want? Or don't you get to decide? No, I mean, there's no NDA. I mean, it's my game. If anything, I'd be the one putting people on an NDA. I actually haven't. I haven't bothered with an NDA. I used to care about that kind of thing. Now I really don't. I kind of take the aspect of, hey, just try not to spoil it for people if you learn secrets, kind of thing. Let's see. What could I... The reason I say I can't, I'm not sure I can talk about it is because it involves someone else agreeing to something, but there's no, formal agreement, and I wouldn't want to give information that turned out to be incorrect because something changed, is probably the best way to put it. I'll give a hint. And if you're a really good detective on my social media, you might be able to figure it out. I recently, and I don't fully understand how it happened, as far as I know, it was pure random chance of the algorithm on Twitter. I came to the attention, myself and my game, of a fairly prominent streamer / voice actor who likes horror games quite a bit and have had discussions with said person about potentially voicing, about and this is not some people know about the Cottontail situation because I did actually reach out to Cottontail, finding out because Cottontail has her voiceover rates public, and this is separate. This is a different thing, because I was just trying to find out if Cotton would be interested, and that was that was all that conversation was. This is a different conversation. This is a different person. This person has directing experience and has informally agreed to assist with casting and voiceover direction because I don't have experience in either of those. This was a case of we had a little bit of a conversation and I was like, well, I'm looking to do this stuff eventually. I have no, clearly they were interested in being like a part of it, and I was like, I have no idea what my budget for that's going to be, because right now I don't really have one. I don't really make much money doing streaming, which is what largely is going to fund that. And the response I effectively got was that they personally were not concerned about the budget. They just liked working on cool stuff. But not all of the voice actors will necessarily have that same point of view. And I also don't want to ask people to work for free. So, especially because it's going to be a monetized thing. So yeah, there's a possibility that once I get a little further along, basically, and I get, effectively once I get to the demo stage, I have a playable demo, I'm going to figure out what I can do as a budget, and I'm then supposed to reach back out to said person, and we will start at that point the formal process of casting. And that's basically my big secret. Because they also said that because of their contacts, they know some people that could probably do the voice acting cheaper. Like they know a lot of different people, but also they know a lot of horror streamers. So they sort of volunteered in a way to help with the promotion of it. So now, of course, I also suspect that this means the game has to continue to pique their interest. So if it ends up hot garbage, that's a totally different problem. But I don't, there's no like agreement. Like I said, I just don't have a confirmation that they want it publicly announced that they're involved in any way. I feel like something like that could potentially affect them in their career. I don't know, So I don't want to step out of line. What do I think? Demo by end of 2026? That is my current goal. That's what I told them. My goal is to have it demo like by this time next year. Ideally, I would like to have it sooner because I would like to start taking it to conferences and conventions. Like, I'd like to do GDC, but GDC is in like March, and there is, since I don't do this stuff full time, there is like no chance in hell of me having it done by March. So I'm not counting on that. PAX is another one. When is PAX? Well, there's two different PAXs, but PAX East would be the closer one to me. PAX East. Yeah, PAX is also in March. In Boston. When's PAX West? PAX West is in Seattle in September. So that would be, I mean, ignoring the cost, because I would still have to, I have to pay for it, especially if I wanted a table. But more than likely, I would just get a badge and walk around with, like, I don't know, a Steam Deck or something with it on it. I would have to pay for that. So that would be the additional question there. But that would be one of the places I would take it. Excuse me. I don't have that node for some reason. All right, let's see if this is where my problem is. This all looks good. Also, like, I have an idea of what it would cost outside of the conference to do what Devolver Digital did for that one E3 and have a booth outside. That still sounds expensive. Like, also, I think you have to have a permit for that, probably. Depending on the city. I don't know about Seattle. I've never been to Seattle. I guarantee you'd have to do it to do San Francisco for or PAX in San Francisco. PAX is in San Diego, I think. Where the heck is, or not PAX? GDC. GDC is in San Francisco. Yeah, Moscone Center, San Francisco. Same place I go for the Salesforce stuff. Yeah. Do it at a parking lot across from the convention. I guess it depends on where you're at. That wouldn't be possible in San Francisco. There's not really one. Also, I would be really worried about getting mugged in San Francisco. I would just do it legitimately and get the pass and whatever. I have a rough idea of what it would cost to do GDC just because I've been to San Francisco a bunch at this point for conferences. And so I kind of know how expensive it is out there, i.e. very. Where did my mouse go? Hello, mouse? Oh, okay. Why were you over there? I can't say I've ever been to Seattle, so I don't have a concept for the cost there as far as what it costs to stay there. But we get some, YouTube, if we get YouTube monetized somehow in a short period of time, and we get, so some subs really kicking off, and we get like Patreon going, then I might be able to afford all kinds of things for promotion, or like getting the word out there, and for hiring the voice actors and whatnot, and paying poor Starby. I told Starby if she doesn't let me pay her, I'm going to actively come to her stream and bully her with gifted subs. With whatever money would be paid out to her. And I said, then Bezos is going to get some of it, and you don't want that. So you have to let me pay you. Yeah, this is all looking fine too. I don't... Need to set this up to use on the other widget thing we were editing a moment ago. So that when something is removed, it goes ahead and selects the next empty slot. Oh, which of these was I in? Was it... It was this one. This is where I needed it, here. Okay. All right, I think that's good for that one. Glancing over this guy, he looks fine. I mean, technically there's not an execute on the other side of this thing, but I don't think that would be causing a problem. this guy looks fine. This was one of the ones I had to fix. These were broken. Item size, brake size. Okay, this is good. That's good. Huh. Interesting. On drag detected. Excuse me. This looks fine. That all seems good. I don't even really need to zoom in on this one. This one looks identical. Thanks for the lurk. Let's see here. If I can figure out... Okay, that looks fine there. This one's good there. There appear to be no problems through here. This all looks fine. Why are you broken? I'd have an ad break. Any minute now. Not delay in frames. We shall wait for the ad break. And I'm gonna get another cough drop. Oh, I think I just accidentally made a marker on my stream. Possibly several. I bumped something into my stream deck. It was pushing buttons. Oh well, that's future me's problem. You say that all the time at work. The future me, the part about it's future me's problem. I have I'll wait until the ad break's over. I have an addendum that I like to add on to that. But I'll let all of chat appreciate my terrible joke. All right. Should be coming back from ads. So just as we went into the ad break, I think I made the comment that I was accidentally mashing buttons on my stream deck. I don't know that it's a dad joke, but it is a bad joke. I was mashing buttons on my stream deck by accident, trying to get something out, and I said, oh well, I think I just made a bunch of markers on my stream that it's going to be future me's problem, and Save commented that they say the same thing all the time. And I said that I have an addendum I like to add to that I wanted all of chat to appreciate my terrible humor. So I'll say that something's future me's problem, and I'll say, but you know, screw that guy. He's got something against me. He's held something against me ever since he started putting on weight. I don't have a canned laugh button ready, or I would just do that. There's probably a redeem for it, or a blurb for it. I need to switch over to Tangia. There's more stuff on Tangia. I like that all I got for that is an oh. Like, I get it, but it's not that good. Fresh slots and select. there a sound bit for laughs? Not queued up. I don't think. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Oh, nope, that's not it. Sampler. No, that's not. Do I not have? Okay, I gotta do B. I got booing from crowd. I don't have laughs. I haven't put it on here. As far as redeems, you'd have to check with the blurb, which I think there's an extension in the overlay. I think it uses points as well as bits. I'm pretty sure it uses points because Amber uses it regularly for the fart with reverb. And I don't think that's in there as a channel points one. It might be. Is the fart with reverb a points thing? The fart with reverb is a points thing that I got on the actual quick thing. I don't have a laugh in here. The points do have the, oh brother, this guy stinks. So. Convert this to a validated get because we want to make sure it is valid before we do anything with it. Get selected shortcut index. Thank you for the bits. That must only be taking bits. I thought I have some things in there for points, but I don't know. I don't remember, to be honest. Promote to local variable. A bit late, but it's there. Nothing better for a bad joke than a delayed laugh. That's almost as good as when you have to explain the joke. Boom, 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 boom. Get shortcuts. And then let's do a for each loop on those. Bum, 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 bum. Do, do, do. We need the index. Eh. There we go. It doesn't actually want the underscore when you type it in the search, which is really dumb. Get shortcut by index. And then we're going to set that to a local variable. Don't you go anywhere. There you go. We'll call this L shortcut widget. Okay. Why is that already in use? Okay. It's a local variable. It shouldn't matter if it's in use. Whatever. And then if this is not so not true branch. We want to branch off of here. Get our inventory component reference. Find item in inventory. Search from that. If it is found, it will be a number other than -1 because it's returning the index, and -1 of a index, or when you're dealing with indexes on arrays, at least in Unreal, -1 means that it's not found because the indexes start with 0. Boop. We're gonna branch off of that. And then shortcut widget. Get hide image. Get, and then we'll do set image. item, and then select slot. Index on that, and then we can select slot over here as well. Oop. And then check these two guys here. See if they are equal. If they are, that means that we want to select that slot. All right. Item added to graph should be updated now. Add screen widget to viewport. Looks like it's fine. On additional slots changed. Inventory component opened. Temp slots. Yeah, that looks fine. Primary slots. Yeah, this looks fine. Update storage slots if they were changed. On an inventory status change. All items in slots removed. Item amount changed. Get slot index. Look this up by its index. Slots type. Get it by its type. Is valid. Valid. And then we want to set the amount. Combine result. It's fine there. Load event. Okay. On drag item swapped. On drag item combined. That looks fine. Functions with delay. We were in here earlier. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is, because this looks like it's all correct. And this would be what creates the items when like swapping and sliding stuff around. What is this hell, and why is my mouse insistent on giving me problems? Let's see here. It is 10 o'clock. Let's see here. Can we find... All right. 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? I know what you're referencing, although I don't recall ever seeing it myself, and I think that was because we didn't have cable for a long time growing up. But yeah, it's 10 o'clock. I'm still getting over whatever this is that I have, and I gotta do work tomorrow. So I'm gonna call it, and we are going to raid a fellow indie developer, but they are not doing game dev tonight. Looks like they're playing Zelda, so we're gonna give them a raid. And if you guys would tell Shade hello and have a good evening. I will try to be live on Thursday. Good night, everybody.